Hey everyone, Mike Lynch here. Welcome to the LynchFit podcast. I just wanted to hop on here quick and just thank you for all your support. We're actually coming up on a year since we started this podcast. Nick and I had the idea to bring the 30 years of LynchFit to you. So we hope that it's been serving you well, that you've been getting actionable steps each and every week that you can employ with your own health and your family's health. So this in particular podcast that we're going to post today that you're about to see was done in the beginning and it kind of got lost in the archives. It's a great episode. It's on dietary facts. We've already done one. If you haven't seen that, check it out. But this was a part 2 and Nick found it. He sent it to me a couple of weeks ago. It was in the beginning. And there was a lot of great takeaways. So we're going to use it. You're going to see it today. But we're curious. Leave a comment below. It's in the beginning, so maybe the audio is a little different, the lighting's a little different, and we hope that you've seen growth in the last year. We feel like we have, and we're super excited about season 2 or year 2 that's coming up, and hopefully we'll have better guests and more content, and you can get fitter and we grow together. So please like it, subscribe, share this to everybody you know, and thank you so much for your support. Enjoy the show. Bye-bye.
You go out to eat, you're getting all these oils are being used to cook your food. And so people who are eating out a lot are probably getting a lot of these trans fats, right?
Tremendous. And I'm so happy that you brought this up because it was something I would have forgot. And it's a shame that I would have forgot. Shame on me, because I tell every single client that I work with, especially when I do nutrition work with people, you have to learn how to order your food. Your body's always going to use glucose first. It's going to grab that glucose right away. So what do I do with all this fat? I already have that energy substrate here. My proteins for building tissue, turning over tissue, hair, nails, skin, muscle, bone. What do I do with this fat? I guess I'll store it. And I also have a large amount of insulin being produced, because carbohydrates are the biggest driver of insulin. And now I'm going to shuttle the protein into the cell, and I'm going to shuttle these fats.
And we're back at it. Fats one more time, right?
All right.
We spoke a lot in the last video. I'm sure people have checked that out, but if you hadn't, go on back and check out our first video on fats. A lot of really good information there. But what we didn't talk about was the specific things in our kitchens, in our pantries right now that are full of the fats we want and full of the fats we don't want, right? So where are some of the places right now where some of those bad fats are lurking in our pantries, in our kitchens, in our refrigerators that we can easily just clear on out?
So, like we talked about in the last video, with the trans fats are going to definitely be in any of the packaged foods that you probably shouldn't be eating on a regular basis. And if you have been told by your doctor that you have diabetes, or you have heart disease, or advanced heart disease, or you have that family that has the cancer gene where everybody's getting cancer, you probably want to think about removing these out of your lifestyle 100%. And you can make desserts and delicious foods that are like cheat foods without those trans fats in them. So if you're somebody who's healthy and lean and you've been cleared by your doctor and you don't, have any sort of plaques in your arteries and stuff like that, I think you should get rid of them mostly anyway. But that's pretty obvious for most people. They shouldn't have a lot of those things laying around. But we talked about the hidden stuff in carbohydrates, and we talked about how you can really just trash a salad, right? You can take a salad, and how are you going to do that, Nick? You're going to do it through dressings. And so many of these dressings are just laden with soybean oil and just bad oils. Because they're cheap, they have a long shelf life. They don't get rancid really easily. And if they do, they just have so many seasonings and sugar and stuff like that, and the hidden sugars. So now you have like a death bomb, right? You have the bad oils, soybean oil, cottonseed oil, and you have sugar in there too. So like your biggest thing is going to be sauces and gravies, and salad dressings are trash. And it's so easy. It's not even what's in there per se, which it is, but it's the amounts that you're putting on there on top of it. And if you're having a salad every day and you never listen to a video like this and you didn't look, you say, and they say it's low fat on the front, right? It doesn't mean that it doesn't have any fat. And that second ingredient is soybean oil. Well, 365 salads, 5 or 6 tablespoons of soybean. Well, there's your answer to like why you're not looking and feeling good, and maybe you're riddled with diseases. So right there is a big thing. That's like the biggest one, I would say.
And what are some other ingredients we should be looking for on that ingredient list that are those hidden trans fats? You said soybean oil. Are there some others we should be looking
Yeah,
for?
soybean
Are
oil.
hydrogenated
Yeah.
oils?
Anything hydrogenated, cottonseed oil, soybean oil. Those are usually the two that, I mean, if you look on the back, many of them do not say olive oil,
Right.
cold pressed olive oil. So any of those that aren't from olives or macadamia nut, I would say that in a dressing, if it doesn't say, let's talk about if it doesn't say olive oil, if it doesn't say macadamia nut oil or avocado oil, and those are the only oils, get rid of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, just having this conversation is making me think that when you go out to eat, a lot of the cooking oils that they're using, I'm sure there are some high-end restaurants that are using the good stuff, but a lot of times you go out to eat, you're getting all these oils are being used to cook your food. And so people who are eating out a lot are probably getting a lot of these trans fats, right?
Tremendous. And I'm so happy that you brought this up because it was something I would have forgot. And it's a shame that I would have forgot. Shame on me, because I tell every single client that I work with, especially when I do nutrition work with people, you have to learn how to order your food. And that's the major thing, because I have clients that eat out all the time. They eat out all the time because they don't like to cook. They're very wealthy. They go out to business meetings, whatever it is. They don't want to pack a lunch or bring it with them. And when you go to a restaurant, their job is to make your food taste good.
Yeah.
And fats have a really good mouthfeel. They have a creamy texture and stuff like that. So forget about what you get at home. It's where and that's a place, those dressings. But oils that you get out, and I would say that even the top restaurants in the world, they're not looking to see if it's 100% olive. Maybe they are, but probably most of them are not. And 1 tablespoon of fat, 1 tablespoon has 14 grams of fat. So they're definitely not measuring out a tablespoon and putting it, they're just going like this, all over that. And that's 1 meal. What if you eat out twice a day? What if you're the person that eats out at lunch, or the company brings in food, and then you go out to dinner because, your wife doesn't want to cook and the kids want to go out to their favorite restaurant? That's 2 meals in 1 day. Now you have 365 days of that. And there you go. So what do? You be a pain in the ass. You look at your waiter, your waitress, and you say, listen, no butter, no oil. It's that simple. And if they don't want to listen to you, you go somewhere else. Because that can be, it's funny. People are like, oh, but I don't want to do that. I'm like, yeah, but you want to slave away every day, an hour, breaking your ass, doing squats and lunges and cardio and counting all of the food, and then you just go and give it all away at the restaurant. Be annoying, because every fit person is doing that. So you're not the only person. And if they want your business, they'll listen. And some of these waiters and waitresses are probably fit themselves, and they're ordering it that way. But they're only going to listen to you if you speak up.
So if you say that, what would they use as an alternative in the restaurant?
So they might use a little light fat-free spray, which is not, it's funny. By the way, we should talk about these too. These fat-free sprays, they're not, I think their serving size is 1/3 of a second. So it's oil in there too, but they can like just put a little and like just spread it around.
Okay.
But that doesn't even have to happen, because a lot of them are canola oil. So it's a lot. it's a lot less than what it's going to be the guy just taking that glass bottle or woman, whoever's cooking, and putting oil all over the freaking place. But there's also steaming and broiling. I know my uncle owned a restaurant, and when he would cook for me, he would just he would take a stainless steel tray and he would squeeze a bunch of lemon on there, and then he'd put my fish and he'd put it in the broiler, and then it would just slide out, and it was being cooked in lemon juice. So there's ways, and if you're the type of person that eats out on a regular basis and you want to take control of your health and you want to look great in the bikini or bathing suit, then you're just going to have to learn how to order your food, and you're going to have to say no butter, no oil. And you look at the server, and look, me and my wife, I'm blessed. She does great cooking, and a lot of times the meals that we get out are worse than what she cooks. So we don't dine out a lot, but I've ordered, a steak with some steamed asparagus, and it comes out, and apparently the person didn't listen to me. I send it right back. I'm freaky this way, Nick, though. I send it back and I don't ask for the other, because I'm scared they're gonna like spit on my asparagus. So I just say, I don't want this. There's butter and oil on it. I assume that
I'm just saying, I've worked in restaurants. You don't want to send your food back more than once. Just don't do it. You can do it, but then don't eat the food.
roll those dice if you'd like to, but I just say, because look, again, I'm like, I'm not gonna eat this because I don't want to send it back, because I want to eat it because it looks like it's a bunch of butter on the asparagus, and I know that once I drop a little salt on there, it's going to taste amazing. But there's the 45 minutes of cardio I just did. No thanks. Mm-hmm. So you really got to watch those dressings and sauces, and you definitely, thank you for bringing that up, you got to learn how to order your food and, be that person. But again, they're just doing their job. Their job isn't to make Nick Skolnick have six-pack abs at Tobay Beach where he's hanging out with his alcoholic partner. No, I'm kidding. You know what I mean? Like, his job is so, you love his fish, while you say, oh my God, every time I eat tilapia at home, it doesn't taste like this. Yeah, it doesn't taste like this because you just whacked it with a bunch of fats. Mm-hmm. But you can't see it because it's cooked in. Because we're like, oh no, they don't. It melts into there. You can't see it unless it's just bathed in a puddle of butter, then it's clear to see. But if they just put like a tablespoon or two, it's going to melt into the fish, and you're not going to see it. But that's one meal. And then these are the people, there are people that say, Mike, no matter what I do, I can't lose weight. And they're just losers. They're lazy. But there are people that do go to the gym and they work hard and they apply themselves, and they just got that stubborn 20 pounds. There you go. Know your restaurants. Get good servers that will serve you and listen to you, and then you'll lose those pounds.
Give the audience a quick pep talk, because this is a pain in the ass. But what's more of a pain in the ass is getting that striker saw, right?
Yeah.
So just give it to camera. Just say, let me just say here for a second, this might sound hard, but ...
Yeah. So what Nick is alluding to is that right now, this part of the video probably sounds annoying. We're like, I can't listen to these assholes. They're telling me to be irritated. I don't want to be like that. That's annoying. If life is like that, then, then I just, I'll die early or something like that. You have to take control of your health, and you have a choice. Every choice in life, you'll either take the pleasure up front and get the pain in the back, or the pain up front and then get the pleasure. And if you're someone that is scared to talk to your server, you say it nicely, or cash in your favorite fat boy or fat chick dressing, you will end up paying the price with your health. And now what Nick was saying about that striker saw is that's what they actually take. They take a striker saw on a bypass surgery, because that's what most people will die of a heart attack. And they're going to score you up front, and then take like these crowbars and crack your rib cage open, and then they're gonna make another big huge incision down your quad and take out an artery and cut that section out and put an artery from your leg, so you have a big huge scar on your leg, and you'll have a big huge scar down your chest, and you won't be able to do much for 5 or 6 months because you're gonna be in so much fucking pain from the procedure, all for those oils that you didn't want to ask for in the restaurant. And let's also forget that you won't go to any pool parties. You'll want to with the lights off in your bedroom because you don't want to take, or if you're a guy, your schmeckle might look only 4 inches instead of 6 inches because your stomach's out, or now you're diabetic, and all the problems because you didn't want to go the extra yard and be a pain in the balls and ask for them not to put cancer-causing, fattening oils on your food. So if that sounds exciting to you, keep on rocking on with the oils and the fatty dressings. But if not,
if you want to get older, if you want to have a good quality of life, if you want to have an active lifestyle when you finally get to retirement, you got to cut all this bullshit out.
if you get to retirement, because a lot of people won't make it there, and it's, look, there are some people that will live shitty and smoke cigarettes and drink booze and eat ding dongs for lunch, and they'll make it at 95. But I will argue that they didn't live much at all because they were probably riddled with pain. They were insecure about their looks and stuff like that. And, look, there's a lot of people out there that all they're concerned about is their looks, and they're assholes too. But you want to feel good and have plenty of energy and have skin like Nick. And, and that's the name of the game. And if you take out these little tiny things, and by the way, let's put a little positive spin on this. When they take out that trash dressing and they take out all those shitty oils that they're putting on the steak, you don't have to put butter on steak. They put butter on steak. I mean, if a steak is delicious, it doesn't need butter on
A little
top
bit of salt goes a long way.
Right. So once you take those trash oils out that are becoming oxidized because they're trash oils, they're cooking them and heating them, in 90 days, if I gave you that same food back, you wouldn't like the way you would feel. You would be tired an hour later. You might even feel like, dude, if I get shit oils, I feel like it's coming out of my skin. Okay? When I work out the next day, I feel like gross. I feel like I get extra sweaty and shit, and my body's rejecting that shit. So what feels good to you now, because you're getting that mouth feel, whether you know it about or not, you're walking around in a low level of inflammation and feeling like shit. Ask most people, how do you feel today? And they'll be like, oh, good. They feel like shit and they don't even know it. It's because it's not only what they're not doing through exercise, but it's what they're putting in their body. And some of these people, they're like, why do I feel like such shit? I eat a salad every day. It's not the salad that's the problem. It's the dressing. And that's why because you're putting shit in your body that we weren't meant to have.
Couple other things I wanted to call out. Cereals, even healthy cereals, can be problematic.
Yeah, and off the top of my head, I think that most cereals, Nick, are going to be more of a processed carbohydrates and stuff like that. And it's been so long since I ate cereal. I don't want to speak to something that's not the truth, but that's going to be more processed. But who knows? They could be putting processed oils and stuff there.
And this is something sneaky for anybody who has kids out there. It's very easy to just throw a bowl of cereal in front of a kid in the morning, but you are training them to eat the wrong food, and you're not equipping, you're not giving them the sustained energy that they're going to need to be focused in school that day or whatever they're working on.
Yeah, I think, and again, I could be wrong, but I think a lot of that stuff that a kid might get that has the oils and trans fats in it, it's going to be more like a Pop-Tart or something like a fake egg bite or something like that. But who knows? They could be adding it to cold cereals as well.
Okay.
I don't know, and that could be a thing.
What about low-fat yogurts, things like that?
So a low-fat yogurt is a problem if it's got the fruit added to it. Like, so if you get an organic low-fat or no-fat yogurt, if you're watching your saturated fats, if it's just yogurt, probiotics in there that they add in there, cultured probiotics, then I don't have a problem with that. It's more of the added sugars that they're putting in there. And again, I'm not somebody who really consumes yogurt, but I would maybe they're adding fats to them as well. But I think that the low fat yogurts are going to be more of a carbohydrate and added sugars situation. The only problem with yogurts, if you're mindful of fats, is if you're somebody who does have high cholesterol or you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, then you probably, as much as they taste really rich and creamy, those full fat yogurts or the 3% are probably something where you might want to go to the 1%, where you get a little bit of the fat for the mouthfeel, but it's pretty low in saturated fats.
And what are some healthy things that people can add to a yogurt, like a plain yogurt, instead of getting all the fruit already in there that's probably added sugars and all these other things? Are there things we can add to yogurt in the morning that are healthy?
Sure. So you can add your own fruit. It takes an extra second. Chop a banana, put some blueberries, any sort of berry in there. Some people like apples, or I even know somebody puts oranges in there, which I think a little bit of a weird combo, but okay, have at it.
Okay.
Or a lot of people will crush up a little nuts. Talking about fats, you're adding those poly and monounsaturated fats, and then you're getting the protein from the yogurt and all the probiotics, and provided that you don't have a dairy allergy or sensitivity. And those are, off the top of my mind, are two things that would taste really good. And you're just doing what they did, but you're doing it in a healthy way. They're putting syrup in there, or they're adding sugar to it.
Chemicals to keep it stable on a shelf for however long.
Think about it. If you buy yogurt, right? You're bringing up great points today. If you get a yogurt, that berry could be living in there for a year, whatever. Well, not a year because it's dairy, so it would go bad. But it could be, I don't know how long. I never looked the born on date and the expiration date, but if you bring berries home, they go rancid or they go bad very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So you really just want to it's a matter of just going to the berry aisle, because that's what a lot of people will do, right? They'll eat yogurts and there's berries on the bottom kind of thing. Just buy the yogurt and then go to the berry section and just put them both in your refrigerator, and then you just scoop it out and you're putting your natural berries in there.
Great.
You rinse the berries off and you put them in there. Boom. Or nuts, And that's the way of getting around that, and that's just one meal.
So are there times during the day where it's better or worse to add fats into our meals?
It's a great question. Yeah. So I think that it's more of when don't you want to put fats in, right?
Okay.
I've seen people do much better when the meal before or after training is pretty no fat to low fat. And here's the reason why. One of the many great things that fats does is it slows digestion. As we talked about in the carbohydrate video, we get a flux of that sugar and then a quick overcorrection by the pancreas, and we become low blood sugar. That's a horrible feeling, and there's no better way to make you feel cloudy, fuzzy in the head, and just totally screw up your workout. Fats slow the gastric emptying, okay? And this is what Ozempic is doing right now. It's slowing gastric emptying, which is very important. However, before a workout, if you're somebody that wants to eat a little something before a workout, adding fats to that is going to slow the digestion process. And now you might not have that food drop down into your intestines, and now it's still in your stomach. So now your body's like, hey, wait, do you want me to pump blood around the body and put it to the biceps or the legs or the cardiovascular system? Or you want this blood to go and eat in digestion? Which one you want me to do? And the person might get, whether they realize or not, they might get a shit workout. So a low fat or no fat meal before a workout. And then if you're somebody who's training vigorously and you're doing something like strength training or sprints or intervals or anything like that, you want that nutrition to get into the system. It doesn't have to be back in the 80s and 90s. We thought, like literally on your last rep, you'd have to drink a protein shake. That's been debunked now. But I would say the leaner you are and the fitter you are and the harder you're working out, you want to get those nutrients in there to start the recovery process pretty quickly. And again, if you add fat to that meal, it's going to delay the absorption and the uptake of the muscle. So I would take that meal, and that meal, even personally, I put no fat at all in my post-training meal. So it's protein and carbohydrates if I want carbohydrates in that meal. If I'm trying to get real super lean, which I don't really do that much anymore because it's a miserable life, then it's just protein. But that's a meal where I definitely still to this day, there's any sort of fat that's in that meal is like a tag along fat that, like, if I have chicken, let's say there's 2 or 3 grams of fat or something like that. So it's low to 0 fat.
You're saying inherently in the chicken that would be there, not that you're adding it.
Yeah, tag along, meaning it's in there, or I call them default fat. They're in there.
Yeah.
Or there's even a little fat in oatmeal. So like these little, but no added fat, no avocados, no nuts, no oils, no butters or creams or anything like that. So I think it was more of like where you wouldn't put them in. And this is another total video topic, but for somebody whose body composition, which I think most people are, but if you're concerned about that, you don't want to have a lot of fats and a lot of carbohydrates in the same meal. So if you're eating a meal that's really super high in carbs, I would try to keep the fats on the lower side.
Why is that?
Because they're both energy substrates. And so you have your protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Proteins can be a fuel source, but they're not meant to be. They're building blocks. Now, fats are interesting in the fact that they are a building block for hormones and stuff like that, but they are a very concentrated source of energy. Carbohydrates are straight up energy, fiber, vitamins, and minerals. So if you have 2 large energy substrates in a meal, this is a whole other video, I'll just touch it quick, and you're not a 19-year-old that's trying to get jacked and put on 25 pounds, your body's always going to use glucose first. It's going to grab that glucose right away. So what do I do with all this fat? I already have an energy substrate here. My protein's for building tissue, turning over tissue, hair, nails, skin, muscle, bone. What do I do with this fat? I guess I'll store it. And I also have a large amount of insulin being produced because carbohydrates are the biggest driver of insulin. And now I'm going to shuttle the protein into the cell and I'm going to shuttle these fats. Now, there's people out there that will argue with me like, oh, the fats slow down gastric emptying and you don't get as much of a blood sugar spike. That's true. If we put a CGM on and we would see, a potato with butter all over it, well, so if you had a potato by itself, the blood sugar would go up. If you put butter all over it, it would do this. But just because the CGM doesn't get spiked, that's a continuous glucose monitor that will tell you what your blood sugar is doing, doesn't mean that you're not laying down body fat. So to answer your question, before training, at the training, no fat to very little bit. And if you're going to have a real large carbohydrate meal, for whatever reason, whether it's a cheat meal or it's just you craving carbs, I would keep fat on the lower end. So, and a good place, those are more places to keep it out. But if you're somebody who wakes up in the middle of the night and wants to raid the refrigerator, which is extremely unhealthy, your last meal of the day, putting a good amount of fats to slow gastric emptying may be a very good strategy. This way that meal stays with you longer. Fats are going to make the meal stay with you much longer, Nick. So if you have some protein and fats and keep those carbohydrates low at night, you might see there's more of a trickling effect. Because especially if somebody's on a calorie deficit, low calories, a lot of times people wake up in the middle of the night and they're not waking up because they're waking up. They're waking up because they're fucking starving. Their body's putting them in a hunt mode because they're so, they're doing cardio, the strength training, and they're watching their calories and their body's hungry. So you're asleep. When you're awake, you're like, I'm hungry. But when you're asleep and you're out of it, your body wakes you up and says, hey, go get something to eat. if you put some fats with some proteins about an hour before you sleep, some people will notice that they sleep much better.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. That's what we're here for, Nick, to give the world interesting shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, you learn a couple new things in every one of these videos, and you'll be a whole different person in a year.
Yeah. So,
Less
and
time.
yeah, and look, everybody's different, but these are strategies that I've used over the 30 years with myself and my clients, and pretty much they work. Not everything. And look, you might have somebody that says, hey, man, I tried your high protein, high fat meal, and I didn't sleep as good. But I say, okay, take the fats out and put a little bit of carbs in there. Boom, that was it. That was it. And there's just some people that are blessed. We would all like to be them, Nick. They can eat whatever they want as long as it's healthy, and the combinations, and they can eat tons of protein and tons of fat and tons of carbohydrates in what we call a mixed meal. And as long as they train hard, they look perfect no matter what. And they're all healthy foods, but certain foods are just better with other foods as far as a body composition standpoint goes.
Sure. That's all I got.
Yeah.
I think we really provided people with a solid foundation for understanding fats, when to use them, when not to use them, good ways to incorporate them with some other micronutrients. I learned a lot. And do you have anything else you wanted to add or say that we didn't touch on?
No, I just repeat myself again because sometimes people need to hear things a couple of times. I need to hear them a million times before I actually get it. But as important as the fats are, just be mindful their calories do add up. So maybe you want to educate yourself what a serving looks like, what a tablespoon looks like, or use the tablespoon. And I don't see a world, unless you're a ketogenic person, I don't see a world, Nick, where anybody needs over 35% of total calories for the day. Okay.
Coming from fats.
Yes. So the sweet spot seems to be about 20 to 35, 20 to 30%. And then that other 5 is going to make its way in there, like the fat in the oatmeal or the lean chicken breast. Very few protein sources other than egg whites, and whey protein isolate has like 0 fat. The rest of them are going to have, and then if you get into buffalo and bison and steak, there could be 10 grams of fat in a serving. So 20 to 30% of your overall calories from fat is the sweet spot as far as weight loss goes, muscle growth, hormone health, hair health, skin health, and will keep you satiated, because that's another big thing is, and you'll see this on, I was a low-fat vegan videos and I had to give it up. These people are just exhausted and they're just always hungry. They'll sit down and have this huge, gigantic meal with beans and lentils and tons of fiber, and they're just starving an hour later. And they just eat and eat and eat, and then they run into a lot of problems where they have a ton of GI problems because they can be trying to satisfy their caloric needs, but in the attempts to being healthy, they may be getting 100 grams of fiber. And that's just way too much for the average person. And now they're just loaded with GI problems because they avoided fat. And the problem is not the foods that they're eating, it's the lack of fat, because those calories are just running through them and they're pooping them out. And what they're really not doing is craving more foods. They're craving some fats because they really do help with satiety. So...
Satiety?
That's being satisfied.
Oh.
Yeah, satiety is, you eat a meal, right? And then there's this feeling of, I'm good for a while, right? And then I ate a meal and I'm still hungry. Now, that could be because there wasn't enough food for you and your activity levels, but it also sometimes is that the meal is missing something. And this is not going to happen to the average person that's grossly overweight and has heart attack or has had a heart attack or has diabetes. But for the healthy population of people that are watching or listening to our videos, that could be a problem where they're not reaching satiety because they're not getting overall calories and or fats. So that's pretty much all I got from this video, Nick. So hopefully we made some sense, and hopefully you guys got a lot from this and learned all the...
Not hopefully, they did.
They did. They did. If they listened, Nick. If not, we're going to hunt you down.
Well, if you didn't listen, just watch again so we get one more view.
Yeah, exactly.
I would challenge people this week, go into your kitchen, go into your pantry, find those hidden things that are not healthy for you that you're putting into your meals each week. And let us know in the comments. If you find something that you didn't realize was unhealthy, but it actually isn't great for you, let us know, because somebody else probably has that in their kitchen, pantry, or refrigerator as well. And they may find out that they have something that's killing them in their kitchen that they didn't realize.
Yeah. Or, and look, I'm no chef, Nick. So when you said, how did they cook without the fat? I said broil, right? Steam, or maybe a little lemon juice or something. But if you guys are cooks or chefs and you know a better way or different ways than what we spoke about today, how to cook without using those damaging oils that are holding people back, leave it in the comments and let us know. We'd like to, learn as much as possible.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So thanks for watching. Right?
Yep. Give us a like, give us a comment.
Yep.
Subscribe to these videos, hit the bell notification, all the fun stuff that everybody asks you to do. There's a reason why they ask you to do it.
Yep.
It helps us monetize these videos and bring you just more content and be able to dedicate more of our time to providing this service to the public. And thank you for watching.
What he said. We would really appreciate it. Thank you. Please hit the like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any content in the future.